In honor of our rock service, rather than do a traditional sermon, going to be doing a story. It might be one that's familiar to some of you. And the story comes from Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi. A long time ago, in the northern part of Israel, in the town of Tzfat, the richest man in the town was sleeping, as usual through Shabbat morning services. Every now and then, he would almost wake up, trying to get comfortable on the hard wooden bench, and then would sink back into a deep sleep. One morning, he awoke just long enough to hear the chanting of the Torah verses from Leviticus 24, 5 through 6, in which God instructs the children of Israel, Bnei Yisrael, to place 12 loaves of challah on a table in the ancient wilderness tabernacle. When services ended, the wealthy man woke up not realizing that all he had heard was the Torah reading about how God wanted 12 loaves of challah. He thought that God had come to him in his sleep and asked him to personally bring 12 loaves of challah to God. The rich man felt honored that God would single him out, but he also felt a little foolish. Of all the things God could want from a person, 12 loaves of challah did not seem very important. But who was he to argue with God? So he went home and he baked the bread. Upon returning to the shul, to the synagogue, he decided the only proper place for his holy gift was alongside the Torah scrolls in the ark. He carefully arranged the loaves and said to God, "Thank you, God, for telling me what you want of me. Pleasing you makes me very happy." And then he closed up the ark, and then he left. No sooner had he gone than the poorest Jew in town, the Shammas, entered the sanctuary. All alone, he spoke to God. "Oh God, I work hard every day, but I am so poor. My family is starving. We have nothing to eat. Unless you perform a miracle for us, we shall surely perish." Then, as was his custom, he walked around the room to tidy the shul up. When he ascended the bima and opened the ark, there before him were what but 12 loaves of challah. "A miracle!" exclaimed the Shammas. "I had no idea you worked so quickly. Blessed are you, God, who answers our prayers." And then he ran home to share the bread with his family. Later on, the rich man returned to the sanctuary, curious to know whether or not God had eaten the challah. Slowly he ascended the bima, opened the ark, and saw that the chalot were gone. "Oh my God," he shouted. "Sorry, didn't mean to say that. You really ate my chalot. I thought you were kidding. This is wonderful. You can be sure that I'll bring next time another 12 loaves, and this time with raisins." The following week, the rich man, true to his word, brought the loaves to the synagogue and again left them in the ark. Little later on, after services, the Shammas entered the sanctuary. "God, 7 loaves we ate, 4 we sold, and another one we gave to tzedakah. But now, nothing is left, and unless you do another miracle, we shall surely starve." He approached the ark and slowly opened its doors. Another miracle! 12 more chalot with raisins! "Thank you, God. This is wonderful." The challah exchange became a weekly ritual, and it continued for many, many years. And like most rituals that become routine, neither man gave it much thought. Then one day, the rabbi, who ended up being detained in the sanctuary a little longer than usual, watched the rich man place a dozen chalot in the ark, and then a little later on, watched the Shammas remove the dozen chalot from the ark. Following week, the rabbi called the two of them together into his office. and told them what had been going on. "I see," said the rich man sadly. "God, I guess, doesn't really eat challah." "I understand," said the poor man. "God hasn't been baking challah for me after all." They both feared now that God would not be present in their lives. And then the rabbi asked them to look at their hands. "Your hands," he said to the rich man, "are the hands of God giving food to the poor. And your hands," to the rabbi, to the shamus, "are the hands of God receiving gifts from the rich." So you see, God can still be present in your lives. Continue baking and continue eating. For your hands, your lives, are the hands of God. Now, of course, this story sort of emphasizes in a way the ladder of tzedakah as set forth by Maimonides. But in reality, what it's really teaching us is that miracles do abound. But if we want miracles, we can't just pray for them. For prayer is the inspiration. But if we want to truly find miracles, we got to make them ourselves. And sometimes we can even make them with raisins. Shabbat Shalom.